But this was the first time we saw Paige really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because the Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like, okay, we can shut up the comparisons right now.
For the first time, we saw Paige Bueckers face the kind of defensive pressure that strips away hype and shows the truth of a player's game. This was the night the scouting report wrote itself. The moment the league realized how vulnerable Paige actually is when she's treated like a star rather than protected like one. The Dallas Wings might eventually develop into a competitive team, but this game showed exactly what happens when the so-called next superstar gets defended the way Caitlin Clark has been defended since her first WNBA minute.
Of one Paige Bueckers, oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you, it exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
The masquerade ended here. The media's carefully constructed narrative, their desperate attempt to crown Paige as Clark's equal, or even her successor, collapsed under the weight of reality. The Seattle Storm didn't just defend Paige, they exposed her. Paige, the supposed heir, the media darling elevated as the next Caitlin Clark, got dismantled on national television.
Diva of Dump Divas Kat Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick: "No, Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season."
All season long, the hype machine pumped out stories, stats, and talking points painting Bueckers as the new face of women's basketball. She was presented as the efficient scorer, the cerebral floor general, the one breaking records with ease.
It's a little bit different, huh? It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it. Paige Bueckers got the Caitlin Clark treatment for one game, and it got up.
Headlines boasted she was the fastest to 200 points and 50 assists in 11 games, one quicker than Clark. ESPN placed her 13th in midseason rankings. The hype train was running full steam. And then came Seattle, a team that decided to treat her the way teams treat Caitlin Clark every single game. The results? Paige looked lost. Against the Sparks, she had dropped 44 points on absurd efficiency, shooting over 80% from the field.
Here, she went off in a game against the Los Angeles Sparks, scoring 44 points, but the craziest part about that was her shooting percentage. She shot over 80% from the field, and I tweeted about that, and I was like, that's actually insane. Give props where they are due. Shooting over 80%, scoring 44 points is actually insane. But with this game, like Paige Bueckers she put on a masterclass in scoring. And I think with that, these are some big numbers and those are some props that
It was a performance that made headlines and fueled her coronation. But those numbers came against a defense that let her play one-on-one across the floor. Seattle flipped the script. They were physical, they blitzed her, they forced her off her spots, they threw multiple defenders at her. The result? 11 points on 2 of 11 shooting, 0 assists, and only 2 rebounds. That's not superstardom. That's a player overwhelmed.
For the game, you said it's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well, and everyone who ended up being on Paige, from E on down. I thought we were.
Storm coach Noelle Quinn laid it out before the game. After Paige's explosion against LA, and they wanted to test her with the Caitlin Clark treatment, and they did. The stat line that followed looked more like a youth league box score than the next face of the WNBA. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the real generational player, has been enduring this level of physicality since her debut.
Paige Bueckers got Caitlin Clark treatment for the first time in her career, and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking. 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area, one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what she wants to do.
She has taken more flagrant fouls than anyone in the league, nearly 17% of the total in 2024, and still delivered elite numbers: 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds. Paige, in contrast, floated through games with light defensive attention, posting 19.7 points, 5.3 assists, and 4.1 rebounds. Similar stats on the surface, but the context changes everything.
Because she got blitzed, she got doubled, and do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed and doubled? She passed. Paige Bueckers, like, look, she played a decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7 times. Paige shot the ball 7.
Clarks were forged in fire. Paige's were inflated by comfort. When Paige finally got a taste of Clark's nightly reality, she crumbled. The media had sold Paige as polished, efficient, and more composed than Clark. But efficiency built on uncontested shots isn't efficiency, it's fantasy. And the Storm tore that fantasy apart.
Paige Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, aka my precious Cece? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are you Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz after.
August 22, 2025 will go down as the night Paige Bueckers' myth officially died. Her defenders will point to her past injuries as excuses, but the reality is simple. Superstars don't fold when the lights shine brightest.
I really want to look up how the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. And we've seen all the injuries, we've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant fouls called.
Superstars don't vanish when the defense schemes against them. Clark has never had the luxury of excuses or grace periods. From day one, she has been the target, and from day one, she has delivered. Paige got one game of Clark-level pressure and fell apart. That's the difference between hype and reality.
She was minus 17 on the floor. She had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0. 0 assists. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally, how many blitzes how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin Clark blitz? And albeit it's very different when you have a short roller in.
What makes this collapse even more glaring is how it exposes the media's agenda. For months, they tried to craft a rivalry between Clark and Bueckers, selling Paige as not only Clark's equal, but in some cases her superior. They pointed to shooting percentages, with Paige at 47% compared to Clark's 41%, and spun it as proof of Paige's superiority. But that comparison ignored reality. Clark took contested shots, often from deep, while absorbing constant double teams and hard fouls. Paige, on the other hand, got open looks against defenders playing her like she was still in college. When Seattle decided to guard her like Caitlin, those percentages collapsed into dust.
And when you guard a player like Paige, it's not just relying on, your guards, whoever has the main matchup, but it becomes a team picture and understanding, rotations on the ball, off the ball. And I think the other thing that we did, early on, we rebounded decently out of it. We didn't give up too many. I think it was 12 second chance points at the half, but not a lot of deflating possessions after having a lot of deflections and things like that.
2 makes on 11 attempts, no assists. -17 on the floor. That's exposure, not excellence. Meanwhile, Clark has been the most battered player in the league, enduring MMA-level physicality and still putting up stats that make Paige look ordinary. And this is where the bigger picture comes into focus. Clark transformed the Indiana Fever from irrelevance into must-watch basketball.
Assists this year, not enough, but if her name was Caitlin Clark, I bet she would have had at least 9 to 10 assists. You hear me? Because she's more than just a scorer. You hear me? Unlike Paige Bueckers, she's only a scorer. She's not dynamic, she's boring. You hear me? Clearly she fits the narrative, but she can't handle being double team or triple team. She was out there looking like...
She filled arenas, broke television ratings, and put the WNBA in the national conversation in a way nobody else had. Paige, despite all the media hype, plays for a Dallas team sitting at 928, eliminated from playoff contention, with some of the worst attendance numbers in the league. The so-called savior couldn't even lift her team into relevance. Contrast that with Clark, who instantly elevated both her franchise and the league. This isn't just about numbers, it's about impact. Clark changed the culture, the visibility, the economics of the sport. Paige has not. Her big moment against LA was nothing more than an illusion created by weak defense. Seattle exposed that by playing her the way Clark is defended nightly. She couldn't handle blitzes, couldn't adapt to traps, and disappeared when forced into uncomfortable situations. That's not the mark of a superstar. It's the mark of a role player dressed up as one by media spin. Her 0 assists speak volumes. Clark, even on nights when her shot isn't falling, still facilitates, still elevates teammates, still finds ways to dictate the game. Paige didn't. She passed out of blitzes, but nothing came of it. The offense stalled because she couldn't create under pressure. And when the game required her to rise, she folded. The WNBA can try to manufacture the next Caitlin Clark all at once, but this game made one thing clear. There is no next Caitlin Clark. She is one of one, a generational talent like Tiger Woods or Serena Williams, a player who doesn't just dominate her sport, but redefines it. Paige Bueckers is a skilled player, but she is not that. She's not the face of the league, not the savior, and not Clark's equal. The August 2010 game proved it. The manufactured narrative collapsed. The Emperor had no clothes, and the whole country saw it live. Bueckers isn't ready for the physicality, the pressure, or the responsibility of carrying a league. Clark has been doing it since day one. So the debate is over. Paige Bueckers was exposed, and Caitlin Clark remains the gold standard. Everyone else is playing catch-up, and some, like Paige, aren't even close. When the Storm built their blueprint, they didn't just beat Paige, they handed the league the truth. And the truth is simple. The hype is dead, the reality is alive, and the throne belongs to Caitlin Clark alone.
Did you just say Paige Bueckers will save the WNBA season? This season? The same Paige Bueckers that's dating Elmer Fudd? The same Paige that plays in front of empty civic centers for the Dallas Wankers? You expect me to believe she is going to save the WNBA season? She can't even sell out home games. Matter of fact, she doesn't come anywhere close to selling out games. The Wankers rank near the bottom of the league in attendance.